Okay. Okay. I have an amazing discussion to have today. Talk. I've been listening to a book. I always recommend books whenever I have a wave of clients come in, and I always think that there's something beneficial about always listening to a book or a podcast or doing some sort of self-help, self-growth, anything like that is always very good to feed yourself every single day. So the one I am hooked on right now, it was Miracle Morning. Now it is the 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins. Amazing. First of all, she reads her own books, which is just, I love when the author is the one who reads it because they have the right inflection. They know exactly what it is that they wrote and how they want it to sound. So I feel like the message gets conveyed that much better when they're reading it. But there was a great point that I recently listened to that I wanted to talk about because I deal with this every single day. We all have these things. We all have distractions. And this is about managing those distractions. And the measures that we have to take to manage those distractions are big. We can't just in our mind say, oh, I hope I don't get distracted by blah, blah, blah. And then lo and behold, that blah, blah, blah thing comes rolling in and there we are, distracted. So if you don't know what the 5-second rule is, basically it is counting down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and going. Whether it is making that phone call, getting out of bed, asking for that raise, sending that email, going up to a person and introducing yourself, anything that you find yourself hesitating to do, or you're in analysis paralysis or very difficult to make a certain decision, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is magic. It is a game changer for so many people. So I highly encourage you to get that book. I do it on Audible. It's so much easier for me to listen to books, especially when I'm commuting to and from the gym, or even when I'm working out at the gym. I love listening to books on tape. So the thing I wanted to talk about was managing distractions and what it is that we need to do to be able to accomplish that. And this is just seems like common sense, but it's a simple but not easy. Okay. Number one thing, turn off your pop-ups or your notifications. You have to completely go through. I know technology is scary. I know that sometimes you have no idea where to go. You can Google it. You guys remember before we even had Google, how we had to figure things out? How did we manage? How did we get through life? We figured it out. We asked. If you have a teenager that lives at home, give them your phone. They know how to do it. They can turn off those notifications. So Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, even your text messages or email pop-ups, a ding, something that comes up where it just distracts you. In fact, I have that very thing going on right now, and I will figure out how to not have that pop up because it's like every email I get just comes over and distracts me from when I'm working on a project or doing check-ins or consults or sales call, whatever it is. I've got a bazillion things just pulling me this way, that way, this way, that way. And then not to mention kids, pets or animals, spouses, friends, family, parents, every single person wants a piece of you, right? So why not do whatever we can to turn off the distractions that we have control over? So using the 5-second rule, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go into your settings. In fact, I could even tell you, if you are an iPhone user, go into settings, go into notifications, and then you can scroll down to the apps right here, okay? And there's actually, I'm going to do it right now. There's one notification thing that just constantly comes up. And this is usually in alphabetical order, is the Snapchat. I don't care about Snapchat, but I constantly get notifications saying, okay, you see that where it says allow notifications? it was on. And then it gives you all these options of how you want the notification. Do you want it into your lock screen? Do you want it as a banner? All of these things. You can turn this off. So the only thing I have to do is go to allow notifications. And look, all of it goes away, even the notification. So it would be a wise idea to just go through, take an hour, set your phone up, set your computer up exactly the way you want it. There's also do not disturb options. There's focus options if you're an iPhone user. So many things that you can put into place, parameters that we don't utilize. If you're going to have $1,000 phone or more, you need to utilize it and learn how to use it to its most optimal way. Okay. And even further, you can go is delete the app from your phone. That doesn't mean that you don't get to check the app. You may have to go to your computer to check it, but deleting the app from your phone is going to just out of sight, out of mind. You're not, it's like Mel Robbins describes, when you're driving down the road, you're not looking for an accident, constantly, if there's no accident, you're not looking for an accident. If there is one, then you're checking it out, but you don't just try and look for it if it's not there conveniently, like in front of you. Same thing with the apps. Delete the apps off of your phone. It doesn't matter. You have bigger things on your plate, so to speak, than the cat videos or who just got engaged or whatever the case may be. So I find that to be perfect. I don't think that that's an extreme measure. My son actually told me that he turned off all of the notifications on his social media, and he found himself just constantly on that. And I thought that that was very mature of him. And you know yourself. You got to be honest with yourself. How vulnerable are you to checking those notifications and getting distracted and never being able to get on that one topic and be able to go and actually create? So they're not good for you. Email, text, pop-ups. Even some people will, instead of having a closed-in office, have these open office spaces. So how distracting is that when you've got everybody in the office around you doing things, pulling you here, there, and everywhere? And you can ask most successful CEOs, what do they do more at home than work? Is they work at home, because they don't have all of these distractions. If you are a CEO and you have an assistant, they can field some of that, but you're not protected from all of it. And so they almost all work from home to some level, especially in the beginning of the day. So checking email, is that not something that's a very addictive thing? That they liken that to the same, excuse me, as pulling a slot machine lever, because you may not get, it's a random reward. It's called random reward. So you'll sit at the slot machine and you're looking for that next payout, and you just slide and slide and slide. And then, so emails, you might have 10 not so great emails, but then you might get that one great email, and that is also very much a distraction. And even checking it before you even get out of bed, or checking it sometimes in the middle of the night. What was the statistic? It was 1/3 of adults wake up in the middle of the night to check their phones in the middle of the night, and their sleep is disrupted. So there is a few parameters that you can put in place as well to keep you from being able to just grab the phone whenever you're laying there in bed, or being on the phone right before you go to sleep and then just setting it aside, or even worse, having it in the bed with you somewhere and the notifications just going off at random. Sometimes they wake you up, sometimes they don't. Not healthy at any level, not healthy. So you need to implement a morning routine. And I talk a lot about this in the program. It's the number one thing I talk about to begin with. And it lays that foundation for any area of your life that you're wanting to work towards. And there's so many different levels of tasks and topics and areas that we want to improve upon. Some of the greater big ones are love and relationships, finances and career, and then your spirituality or fitness and health. All of these things are like the big ones, but we can dial that in even more and get more specific. So creating a morning routine that's going to set you up for success is essential. There's no negotiating this. You cannot say you are not a morning person. I get that all the time. Neither am I. I am not a morning person. But if you want to be the boss of your mornings, you need to have a morning routine. You don't have to be a morning person to be the boss of your mornings. So you need to follow three different things of the day. Let me look. I put some. Okay. This is, I made another note. The reason why morning routine is so essential is because the first 3 hours of our day are our peak productive times. It is for our brain. So if you're wasting all of this productive time being on your phone, and believe it or not, you can be on your phone watching reels and TikToks and YouTube videos, an hour goes by just like that. And then before you know it, you're running late for work because you just laid there and you just kept watching all those cat videos or whatever videos it is, it's such a distraction. So number one step for your morning routine, never, ever, ever hit the snooze button, ever. There are studies after studies on why hitting the snooze button is so detrimental to our productivity in the morning. First 3 hours of our day, most productive for our brain, right? So how you wake up is actually more important than how you sleep. We can hit that snooze button, and you know what happens whenever we hit that snooze button and we go back to sleep, and 10 minutes later, for however long you have that snooze for, your body goes into yet another sleep cycle. So our sleep cycles are anywhere between 90 and 110 minutes. So we go through multiple sleep cycles throughout the evening. 2 hours before we wake up, our body goes into a different kind of sleep cycle where it's, for lack of a better explanation, thawing you out. So it's starting to get you more awake. It's starting to bring you back out of that gamma state, and the alarm goes off and you hit the snooze. Guess what's going to happen? You're going to go back into a sleep cycle, and then you're going to wake up in 10 minutes and you're going to feel worse. You're going to be more tired and less alert than you would have been if you'd just gotten up when the alarm went off. It's called sleep inertia. So now you're in this sleep inertia. You're physically up, but your brain is not awake because you just entered another sleep cycle, which takes another 90 to 110 minutes. So think about that. When you start to wake up, if you hear the alarm and you hit the snooze, your body will start the sleep cycle. I gotta see my, cortex. I didn't recognize my cursive. I write so fast. The cortex region of your brain can't get out. So while you're physically awake, your body and your brain is still in a sleep inertia. And then it takes 4 hours for your brain to come out of the sleep inertia. So getting up sucks, but only for like 4 minutes. And I'd much rather 4 minutes suck than 4 hours of my brain struggling to get up because I hit that snooze for those extra 10 minutes and I got myself into sleep inertia. So a little trick. If you don't say you only got 3-4 hours of sleep and you're like, oh, but I have to get more, just get up. And there is a trick. Some people do cold water immersion. I'm not that hardcore, at least not yet. but you can take a cool shower, and you don't even have to get your whole body in the shower. Mel Robbins is like, I just get my arm and my shoulder in the coldness, and woo, she's woken up. So those are some tricks that you can do if you do have very little sleep that night. It is still far better for you to get up and to get into your day than it is to hit the snooze for 10, 20 minutes, because your body's going into sleep inertia, which is another cycle of sleep. Number 2, put your phone in the bathroom or completely out of the bedroom to where you can still hear the alarm, but you are not close by in the vicinity where you can grab it, or you could even walk to it really fast and then get right back in bed. So you want to put it in a place that you can hear it, but you have to get up and turn it off, because then you're up. There's no sense in crawling back in bed. And then you might go into a sleep inertia, and it's not productive. So no negotiating. Put your phone in the other room. You want to give your dreams a fighting chance. And in the mornings, you've got to create this discipline that is going to do that. Sleep is important, but how you wake up is actually more important. 42% are likely when you write down your goal. So in the morning, another thing that I do is I journal, and I have 2 different journals. I have one where I write down all my gratitudes, things I'm thankful for. And then I write down 3 things that happened in the last 24 hours that I am happy about. So you're really thinking of general, and then you're getting more specific and more specific. And then I always touch on my abundance, my finances. I write down 25 times I make X amount of money a year or more. And I write that 25 times because you get used to seeing that. And you are 42% more likely to hit your goal when you write it down, because you see it. It's that repetition. And if you write something every single day, it just gets even more and more ingrained, and that percentage goes up every single time. So thirdly, so we get up, don't hit the snooze, put your phone out of the bedroom, maybe in the bathroom, and then write down 2 things. If you don't want to do all of that gratitude and stuff, that's fine. Just start with 2 things that are important to you and why. 2 things that are important and why. And then what I want you to do when you get into your workday, you must plan your quitting time. And that is something that I get very challenged on, because I have a very irregular schedule, if you will. I mean, it's regular, but I have clients from this time to this time on Monday, Wednesdays. I have a client from this time to this time on Tuesday, Thursday. Fridays are all different, so I have to plan my quitting time, and it's different maybe every single day. And that's why I do it daily. And then that's it. And then guess what? You can watch all the cat videos you want and just relax and do whatever you want. But it is extremely important you choose that quitting time. There's another topic that kind of leads into this, because when you choose your quitting time, then you can't just overwork. And I know people can burn themselves out. It's also beneficial to have deadlines. So deadlines are an interesting thing. There is this thing called Parkinson's law, which the projects you have with the amount of time. Okay. So say you give yourself a week to write this paper or article or blog or post even. It's going to take you all week to write that post or that blog. If you give yourself an hour, then it's going to take you that hour. So the Parkinson's law is you give yourself a week, it'll take a week. 1 hour, it'll take an hour. When we do that, we can work under pressure if that's how we work better. And then if we do allow ourselves that week, then it gives us time for creative juices to flow, and any writer's block that happens, we can step away from it, and we can allow for receiving of creative thoughts, downloads, perspectives, even conversations with other people. It allows for that to happen, and then we can gather even more. I like to say downloads of what it is that we're trying to convey or get a message across in the most clear way. So we need room for that creativity very much. I tend to deal with a thing called procrastination. Procrastination is something that I've always looked at as a negative thing in life. And it's always been communicated to me as a negative thing. And so there's two actually different types of procrastination. There is destructive, and then there's productive. Let's talk about what the productive procrastination is good and why it's important. So, like I said, when you give yourself a week to hit a deadline on a project, you allow for that creativity to flow. You allow for new information to enter your reality, and maybe even change your perspective or give you a deeper understanding of what it is, that topic that you're writing about. And it can completely change what you initially would have written on. So if you're not procrastinating if you let your work sit a little bit. And there's a lot of things that I do that I get blocks, I get frustrated, I get tired and overwhelmed. And when I don't necessarily have a deadline from an external source, I can give myself a deadline that is further down the road. And then it allows for me to be able to receive more downloads. So destructive procrastination, which is avoiding things. Like, I'll tell you one thing I'm avoiding is getting all of my tax stuff together. Oh my gosh, I'm not good at that. I have I've filed every year since I've been an adult. I've always been at the bottom of this mountain, and I've climbed it, and I've gotten on the other side of it, and I've done the best that I can. Might be the perfectionist in me that thinks that I've got to have them perfect, and I can't miss one write-off, and I can't, I can't make any mistakes. And that's just not true. You're gonna make mistakes, but I procrastinate, and I have a meeting with my tax person Friday. So I've got to get all of my tax document stuff, which I don't even really know what all of those are. Luckily, I got my taxes done last year, so she's going to have a lot of that information already in her system. Thank you, God. But I procrastinate. And why are we procrastinating? It's not because we're lazy. I'm not a lazy person. I think everybody knows me for any length of time. They know I'm not a lazy person. So it's not a form of laziness. It's actually a coping mechanism for stress. So if I'm feeling stress, sitting down to not even know where to begin when it comes to getting my taxes put together, I go for a 10-minute walk, or I scroll on social media, or I lay down for 10 minutes, or whatever it is. I am dealing and coping with the stress that I'm feeling from the task I have at hand. So then we kick the can down the road, and then it creates more stress. So you see how this is more of a destructive path for procrastinating than it is a productive path, because knowing, that you have this thing to do and you're not doing it, and then you're stressing about that, it just snowballs. So it's when you take the time out to give yourself a break, you also can be making the problem worse and not getting it. So you do the 5-second rule, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, sit down and just start tackling the task at hand, getting the list of expenses that you had, getting your income and expenses, just like, let's get that. Oh, what about the house? What about all that? I think she's got, like, if I can just do the checking mark, then I will get through a lot of it. Doesn't mean that I can't take a break, but that you get started, then you're also very proud of yourself. And so when we can do that, I think the procrastination is not destructive. So that was a lot quicker point than I thought it would take me. I love the book by Mel Robbins. I think what she has to say is super valuable. And so I recommend you going and getting that book. There's a couple of other ones that I would highly recommend that I just downloaded that I would recommend here. There's one called Attached that has to do with relationships. And then there's another one called The Second Mountain. I can put these all in the description. Letting Go. Miracle Morning, of course, is always a great one. The Emotion Code. Those were the top ones that I just recently downloaded that I think are very, very good for us to just always be in some sort of book, in some sort of self-improvement, digging deep, looking at things that we can change, because there have often been times something has been said and it's been an absolute game changer for me in my life. And it's just like changes the trajectory, even though it's a little shift, just changes the trajectory of where you're going and how you look at something and the perspective that you have. Super important. Like the Miracle Morning, it is, and not hitting snooze. There's something they also talk about in the Miracle Morning about hitting the snooze button. And I'll be honest, I have hit the snooze. I don't go to sleep. I just lay there and rest a little bit longer. Or if I'm not feeling well, I do hit the snooze. Those are the two situations where I will. But understanding that that extra 10 minutes of rest is not going to do what you think it's going to do, versus getting up, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, getting up, going and turning off your alarm, taking that cold shower on your arm and your shoulder in the shower, going and getting breakfast and your coffee, sitting down and doing your journaling. It does not take a lot of time to do these things. And when you consistently do these things, it just creates this, I'd say, like a passion or a purpose for getting up, because you have specific tasks to complete. If you're just getting up to get up and you don't have anything to do, yeah, you're not going to be able to do that consistently. But if there is a process, you have a routine, a plan in place of what it is you do every single morning, that habit is what's going to get you through the emotion of not wanting to get up and not feeling rested. It takes about 4 minutes for you to wake up. Plus, you don't technically really want to, and you don't want to introduce any caffeine to your body for about 90 minutes after you wake up. I do have a type of coffee that's not actually like brewed from coffee beans, that has a natural caffeine in it that I do drink, but I don't even get through that sometimes because I don't rely on that to wake me up. I have mental alertness when I wake up. I have a system, I have a task. Sometimes I'll do breath work. A lot of the time I'll do breath work because that helps me get into a meditative state. Then I will set a timer depending on what time my client is and how long I've got to get ready and put myself together. I always get dressed before I leave my bedroom. So my morning routine looks like this. My phone is over here on my office desk. My bed is way over there. So you definitely have to get up out of bed to get the alarm. I hit stop. I do not hit snooze. I'm either already prepared to have my outfit that I'm going to wear that day, either laying on the end of my bed or it's on my body. And there's something about being dressed for your day that just gets you completely out of that cozy clothes, loungy kind of state. That is, to me, when a switch flips, is getting my clothes on for the day. Because think about it, when you come home, part of flipping that switch off and getting, decompressing from your day is getting out of the clothes that you were in all day, right? Getting out of those clothes, taking a shower, getting some cozy sweats on, or whatever the case may be. That's also another flip the opposite direction. So to me, it absolutely is a game changer when I get the clothes on that I wear instead of staying in my pajamas. I don't like to stay in my pajamas and do my morning routine in my pajamas. It just doesn't feel like I'm setting myself up for the day. I will, of course, I have dogs, so I've got to go feed them because they're going out of their mind. I feed them. I put my hot water on the kettle. I go get all the healthy coffee stuff, put it in the blender, get ready to pour my hot water in it. I am not checking my phone, y'all. Do not check your phone unless it's a timer. A timer is all I look at. That, and I will set music. I do have these chakra frequencies. It's like a music that I love to listen to when I'm journaling. So those are the two things. They're already pulled up. They're easy to go. I do not go into my email app. I don't go into my Facebook app. It's just then everybody else's stuff is entering your day. This is your time. You must protect it. Protect it with everything you got. And if that means my Apple Music is right next to my Facebook app and there's such a temptation, delete the app off of your phone. It doesn't mean you don't have that account. It just means it's not so accessible, or you can subcategorize it and put it on a different page where it's not an easily accessible app. That's also an option as well. So I am getting my music set up. My dogs are finishing eating. I let them out potty. I go and I have my journal, both of my journals with my pen sitting every single time right where I sit. It does not leave that spot. And I have my blanket, I have pillows. It's chilly in the morning. So I get my coffee, I go sit down, I bundle up, and I just start listing the things that I'm grateful for. And I just get into that mindset right away. And then I list 3 things in the last 24 hours that made me happy. And then I write what I earn, and that 25 times. And then I write my affirmations, and that is my routine. And after I get into that state of that mentality of looking at the positive things that this appreciation mindset, then I will do my breath work, meditate 10 minutes, even sometimes. Sometimes I don't have an hour to meditate. Sometimes I do. So depending on what time it is, what time I've got my first client, I will at least have 10, 15 minutes of meditation. And then I will journal my goals. I have 3 goals this month. And I write those 3 times down every single morning. And I know that seems repetitive and I think it feels redundant at times, but it works. It absolutely works. I wrote my goal down last month for one of the areas of income that I have that I work on, one of my businesses. And it was about 3 days before the end of the month. And my business partner had texted me and said, "Oh my gosh, you're 5 points away, Leah. Have somebody order a $6 item." I'm like, I did not have one new person order from me that month. And I still hit my point goal. Like, that's the power of writing this stuff down, because it's not about what I do. It is about how I receive what it is that I want. It's being put in this receptive mode. So when I write it down, I just trust that it's going to happen. I have effort. There is work that I do. I allow a lot of these meeting times to naturally happen. I'm not beating down people's door. I'm not becoming this, you know, annoying, hey, you want to know this product and that product. That's not what I do at all. I just say, this is what I want my goal to be, and I want to accomplish this by the end of the month. And then I just allow opportunity and I walk through that door. 5-second rule. If you're worried about bringing something to somebody's attention or telling something about, a new product, or depending on what it is that you're in business wise, or even going to your boss and asking for a raise, or going to that coworker and saying, hey, would you like to go get coffee with me during lunch because you want to connect with new people at work and you're nervous, you have social anxiety. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Give it a try. I guarantee you that you are missing so many wonderful opportunities just by not having that courage. And the way that you can have that courage is not by getting rid of the nervousness or the fear. It's about doing it anyway in the midst of that fear. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go means I am going to be more courageous than I am fearful. And it could be pretty close as far as here's my courage, here's my fear. And even though that happens, the more often you do that, the easier using that 5-second rule method will get. Now, does it make getting out of bed any easier? It's easier, but it's still challenging. I still don't necessarily want to do it. And some mornings I usually get up at 5:30 in the morning, and that gives me plenty of time to just, I get tons of downloads. I get tons of creative ideas, and I think clearer in the mornings. There's less distractions because I haven't gotten any emails. I don't look at texts. I don't look at any of that stuff. I protect my time. I look forward to those mornings because it gives me such a great foot forward in my day that it's not this rushed, hurried syndrome that I know so many people have. They're out the door, their hair is half combed, you forgot to brush your teeth, you got mismatched socks on, all of this stuff. Who wants to start their day like that? That is not a healthy way to start that day. And at that point, you're just surviving. You're not thriving. You're not living your life. Your life is living you. And so I will give myself plenty of time. And sometimes on a couple of mornings, I get up at 4:40. And honestly, getting up at 5:30 or 4:40 versus 5:30, it doesn't feel any different. Not at all. If I get a little tired throughout the rest of the day, I might take a meditation break or a little 10-minute close my eyes and rest. I really won't fall asleep, but I will allow for that rest. So I don't get too concerned about getting up early and then wondering how I'm going to have all the energy throughout the day. I allow, and sometimes I've even gone early to my kids' pickup line at school and just put the car in park and just listen to music. And just set a tiny, tiny alarm. So you're not fully asleep, but you're resting. You're allowing for your mind to take a break, your body to take a break. Working out is also very, very important to do in the mornings. I love to do that in the mornings. Sometimes I wait to be able to work out with my son after he gets home from school. So I intentionally do wait, but I do prefer working out in the mornings far better. And it's like you get all of this done. It's just incredible. You feel like so accomplished after you get this workout done. And maybe it's not a full weightlifting workout like I've written for so many of you. It could be yoga. It could be a morning walk. We just have to get our bodies moving. You've got to get it moving. So that's why I'm really excited for spring to be around the corner, because I can be out in the fresh air. I can go for a walk with my dogs. 10 minutes, that's all it takes to be able to do that. And then listening to your self-help or your self-improvement while you're on your walk, and just enjoying nature and being one with nature. Give it a try. If you haven't done it, you are missing out on 3 of the most productive hours of your day. Your brain is the most productive in those first 3 hours. So think about that. When you want to hit that snooze button, do not hit that snooze button. Sleep inertia is going to kick in, and you will be more tired when you try to get up 10 minutes later after you hit that snooze button than if you just got up and got moving for the day. You're tired, but it takes about 4 minutes to get out of that fatigue, and you're off to start your day. Then you have your routine. You've got everything to write down. You've got your coffee to look forward to, your breakfast to look forward to, and you just do the thing. The habit. That 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 helps get you into that prefrontal cortex mode and just make the decision. You just go. Oftentimes we talk ourselves out of these things because it's not because of anything, but how it is that we feel about it, not because of the thing at hand. It's how we're feeling about the thing at hand. And so many times we talk ourselves out of doing big things that can be life altering because we procrastinated or we kicked the can down the road in a destructive way, not in a productive way. So there's a lot of elements to all this, but I do think that whenever we know why we do things, or we have information on what certain things do if we do this, like the sleep inertia, huge game changer for me when it came to hitting the snooze button. Huge. Because then you enter another sleep cycle and you're still in it, and it takes 4 hours to get out of that. It's scientifically proven. If you guys need me to come up with the studies, I will find the studies. But this is scientifically proven. And every successful person that you ask them, when do you get up in the morning? What's your morning look like? I guarantee you they have a morning routine. I promise you they have a morning routine, and that they work out. That 6 a.m. client that I meet at the gym, it's one of our busiest hours, and it's a gym full of bosses and CEOs and people who have absolute financial freedom and in abundance and prosperity and wealth. And there's just, you can tell in the room how powerful these people's drive and like their purpose. When they get up in the morning, this is what we do. It's just what we do. There's a husband and wife that oftentimes comes in. There's a husband and wife team that comes in that you can tell just have their crap together. They just have their shit together. And I love being around that energy and that vibration because it is just infectious. So if we surround ourselves, and that's another thing, is like you put yourself in the 6 o'clock club, 6 a.m. club of working out at the gym, you're going to be around people who get it. They get it. They may not be morning people, but they understand they have a responsibility to their dreams. And when you've got a dream, you got to give it a fighting chance. And if it means you're just getting up 30 minutes before you normally would get up, is that a very big price to pay for living your dreams and building multi-million-dollar companies or multi-million-dollar business, or having that total freedom of not worrying about finances anymore? I think not. If someone came to you and said, I'm going to give you total financial freedom, but you have to do one thing for me. Yeah, deal. I got it. Let's do it. You have to wake up every morning at 5:30 in the morning and just sit in a pile of blanket and pillows and write things that you're grateful for. That's it. just things that I'm grateful for. Yeah, well, you also need to write down the amount of money that you want. So any number will do. The universe doesn't care about how many zeros is behind it. Just any number. You just write it down like 25 times. And then I want you to write down your affirmations. You do that, you will have total financial freedom. Hell yeah, I'm getting up at 5:30 in the morning. I don't care how I feel if somebody is giving me that. But you know who that somebody is? It's you. You have the power. You have this opportunity as equal as anybody else. There is no one different on the planet. It's the choices that we make. It's the decisions that we make that separate us from other people. We all have the same freedom to make the same choice. So when you get up, you have power over that. In fact, getting up before everybody else helps you get more empowered because you're not dealing with this kid over here and getting lunches for that kid, and that kid doesn't have their uniform, and oh my gosh, I forgot we need to sign this permission slip. All of this stuff, like it's very difficult to control everybody in your household. But if you could get up before everybody and you could just center yourself and say, this is my day, I'm going to make it my bitch. Then the likelihood of life throwing you curveballs and it throwing you off, the curveballs will happen, but the likelihood of it throwing you off is very, very slim because you set your intentions. And when you set your intentions and you make that decision and you have the tools like the 5-second rule, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, the sky is the limit. It is a matter of becoming nothing versus top selling artist, book selling. It's a game changer. So I highly encourage you guys to think about how it is that you're starting your day. The morning routine is a game changer. And if you need help creating that, I would love to help you with that. So reach out to me. You always know that you have my support, and we will see you next week.